You ever turn on your Yoder pellet grill and the fans go, well, it doesn't really sound like that, but if you've heard it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It comes from the two fans inside the unit here. It happens more during the wintertime, especially when the bearings are cold, but as your bearings wear down, it'll make the same sound. It's the bearings inside your fan. Today, I'm gonna show you how to fix that. What's up, barbecue fans? My name is Jake, and today we're talking about what's inside this box, and that is the upgraded fan kit for the 480 or the 640. Inside here, we've got some ball bearing fans. Now, the fans that are in here work pretty well. This unit's 3 years old, but in the wintertime, you can hear this kind of drone sound once in a while if it's really cold when you start up your Yoder, and it's a little bit annoying, but it will go away once it warms up. Inside here, we've got ball bearing fans. So it's a big upgrade, and you can buy the kit. Inside, we've got a gasket with some screws, some silicone, an instruction manual. Who needs that? Just kidding. And these fans. And as someone who is in the IT business, I deal with fans all the time. These are hefty. I mean, they've got some weight to them. They are actually a lot heavier than I expected. When I first picked up this box, I was like, where's all the weight coming from? But it is these fans. So first off, you should notice right here, we'll talk about this a little bit, but these fans have an airflow direction, right? So the arrow goes here, that means the airflow goes through there, right? So that's something just to be aware of as we go through this process. But what we're gonna do here is we're gonna pull this guy apart and we're gonna replace these fans. And I'm gonna give you a step-by-step process. Now, this kit came out at the beginning of 2024, maybe end of 23. I've had it for a while, but I just have not had a weekend where it's either not been freezing or I've had 2 days in a row, because what needs to happen here is we're gonna put this together, we're gonna put some silicone on it, and we're gonna look at it tomorrow before we use it again. So I wanted to be able to film this in one weekend so I can wrap a video and get it done for you guys. So we're gonna go through this process. Let me go get some tools and I'll show you what we need there. So this process is gonna be pretty easy. We're only gonna need a couple things. You're gonna want a 5/8 inch socket. I like to have it on a ratchet. I'm gonna use this to kind of loosen off all the bolts, and because I'm lazy, I'm gonna use my drill gun to speed up the process. I was actually through this process once before because I was an idiot and I let wet pellets get into my hopper and I jammed my auger up completely, and I had to take that apart. So this is gonna be relatively easy since I've been through the process once. The other thing you're gonna want is you're gonna want some gloves. You guys see me use these all the time. My discount code will get you 40% off on these things down below from Clean Space Project. And these things are the best deal on the internet. I go through them a lot. I use them when I wash my cars, when I'm doing dirty work like this, or I'm prepping food outside, and I just pick up a case. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna take this apart. I'm gonna bring you up close. We're gonna look inside, and I'm gonna walk you through the process of replacing these fans step by step. Before I forget, my safety supervisor just reminded me, all he's watching me, you gotta unplug your Yoder before you start to take it apart. First thing we gotta do is we've gotta take all these bolts off the outside. There are 11 of them. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna loosen them up with my ratchet, and then I'm gonna use my drill to take them out. Relax. So before you pull this panel off, one thing, make sure you don't have any pellets in here. If you pulled off this panel, all those pellets are gonna go flying. So we pull this guy out, and here's our first fan. You can see that we've got 2 purple wires here on our fuse. Those don't matter, they can come off. And then we've got a white and a green one. The white goes towards the outside, the green goes towards the inside. And now we can take this apart and we can start to replace this fan. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna take this back plate off. Now we'll remove our fan. Ollie. So now what we do is we take this panel off, our fan will stay right there. Now, there's a gasket here. This kit comes with a gasket. If the gasket's already here, you don't have to replace it. You can leave this one in place. And the important thing in here is we haven't touched this yet, right? This has the airflow going down towards the bottom. If we look at the instructions, dun, 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 dun. So we want air flowing into the unit on the new fan, right? So we'll probably, it's already pointing towards the table, we can just flip this right up like so, and it's gonna sit there nicely. Now the one thing we wanna do is, where's our connectors? Our connectors are at the bottom, so let's put them here at the side so we can actually get access to them. And I'm just gonna put this guy. Now remember, this is plastic, so don't go cranking on it. The thing I can't remember is which way the plate was going. So the plate was going up from the bottom, right? This is basically probably making sure no wires will get into the blade. There we go. And just like that, our first fan is done. So here we are for the inside fan, and what we've got here is we've got our 2 wires for the fan that's on the front panel or side panel, and then we've got our 2 purple wires for the fuse. Now we've got 2 more wires for our inside fan. We've got a green and a white again. Green goes closest to this fan housing, okay? And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull out this fan housing. So what we're gonna need now is we're going to need a flathead screwdriver so we can separate the silicone underneath here to get this fan housing out. There we go. It's actually a small screwdriver right in the corner was perfect there. Let's get this other side. And just like that, the whole assembly is out. Look, we can clean. This is how we would replace our igniter maybe, right? Because here's our cable that comes through there, and there's just 2 bolts that hold the igniter housing on, and then this is your igniter connection. So you got to see a little bit behind the scenes. We'll clean out some pellets while we're here, and let me bring you over to the table, and we'll replace this fan too. All right, so now we're up to this fan housing. As you can see, our airflow arrow goes inside, and our connector is right here. So we're gonna put the other fan on the same way. Now, the one thing that I ran into is my smallest regular screwdriver will not fit in there. Luckily, I've got some really small screwdrivers from my other hobby that I haven't done as much in recent years, but I used to be hardcore into flying remote controlled planes. But this will work here, and additionally, there are 4 nuts on the inside. We do need an 11/32 socket to get these loose. Make sure we're going the right way there. The bottom ones are going to be pretty snug to try and get out of there. And just like that, we have another fan off. All right, so real quick, we've got this apart now. We're gonna put the other fan on here. We've got to look at our airflow, and we have to make sure it goes in the housing. Real quick though, we also have to rotate our fan 1 rotation, and the reason for that is, if I bring it around here, we need to have the connector closest to the left, okay? Because the connectors come in here. We don't want the wires going over top. If you have the arrow up like it was before, the connector will be on the right. So again, rotate your fan, and we'll put this guy back together. And again, what we're gonna do is we're gonna give this a quick tighten. Don't over tighten this. All we wanna do is we wanna snug it up. Finish, there we go. And when we're all done, we're gonna have an arrow going into the housing and our connector here on the left if you're looking at it from the front, right? So from your view, I've got some silicone here. Peel that off. It actually comes off pretty good. You could get a little tiny piece of sandpaper if you wanted, but I don't think that's necessary. It's peeling off pretty good. Let's see what our manual says. So we're going to apply silicone to the underside of each of the side housing and slide the housing in place against the inner hopper wall. Make sure the igniter is in the large C. So your igniter cable is going to come through here, right? So what we're going to do here is we're going to get out our silicone. We'll pop this here. That's actually clear silicone. I expect it to be black for some reason. We'll take this here, put a decent bead here, like so. I mean, I remember being younger and actually liking the smell of silicone. I don't know what I was thinking. I hate the smell of it now. Yeah, got a pretty good coating there. Let's put this guy in. So here we go. When I'm talking about that C earlier, this cable is going to come through that C. I'm going to just wipe this out real quick. And if there's any like flaking silicone, my safety instructor's inspecting my silicone job here. He says it's okay. What we're going to do is if you've got any that's here that's flaking off, this will just peel off pretty good. The Yoder doesn't say to do this in the manual, but I don't think it can hurt. The other stuff that's stuck is just going to stick to itself, right? So we're going to take this guy, we're going to flip it upside down, we're going to make sure that our wiring for our igniter is out of the way, our other wiring is out of the way, and we're going to keep this touching until we get near the end. Oops, I touched it down a little early. All right, there we go. My bad. But it should push all the way back and in place, away it goes. I'm gonna get just some shop towels and just wipe up that excess right there. So I'm just gonna wipe up a little bit here. We touched down a little early, but there's a bunch of silicone on there and I can see it coming out the side, so we're gonna be fine. And the big thing here is make sure that we're touching, right? You wanna be touching that back wall, and we should be centered, or this edge of this side should line up alongside with what's going on up here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to connect these wires. So the green is going to go closest to the housing and the white's going to go beside it. And if you had a 240 model, there'd be another grounding screw that you'd have to attach. I can't show that to you since I don't have it. So let's get our side piece. We'll put that on. So real quick, before we get to putting on the side, don't pull a Jake. I put the fan in the wrong way here. You want to rotate it 180 degrees so that your connectors are up top. All right. So now we'll grab our side here, and green goes inside, white goes on the outside. So we'll connect these guys. There we go. Green's good. Get our fuse wires here. These don't matter which way they go, right? It's either an open circuit or a closed circuit. And in your little kit here, we get some brand new screws, so what the heck, we will use these. So in here, we've got a mix of screws for the outside, we've got a mix of screws for the fans. Because I'm anal, I'm not going to use them because as I started to put them in, I realized that they're not going to match this screw, and that would just drive me up the wall. So we will use the ones that came with. And that, my friends, is all there is to it. In real time, it took me an hour and a half. And that included me putting on a fan wrong, going to get some tools, and moving around the camera a little bit. So you could probably do this if you follow the directions correctly in about an hour to an hour and 15 minutes. The important thing is here, we have to let that silicone cure overnight. Upwards of 24 hours is recommended, depending on the temperature outside. So no smoking for me today. I'm gonna let that cure, and tomorrow I'll get back at it. Hopefully you got some value out of this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up while you're down there. Don't forget to subscribe. Thanks as always for watching. I'll see you soon.